All right. Hi, Yukon. How's your mood, cuteness? Okay, so lots of people have lots of questions about how to do livestock dog introductions. I'm a big believer in being cautious. So oftentimes dialogue goes like this. Have the goats been around dogs? Oh yeah, they love them. Have the goats been around young white dogs? Oh yeah, they love them. Okay, dog over there, Yukon, that you'll meet. Has Yukon ever been around goats? You bet, he's great. Well, he hasn't been around these two goats. He is now 8 months old instead of 6 months old, and he's got a different look in his eye because he's got testosterone coming on board. So he's kind of stalking around like a different sort of a dog. These girls have been in this pen for a couple of days, and he's just been dying to come in here and see him. And I expect him to be a little bouncy and forget himself a little bit, or behave just like he should as an 8-month-old intact male. So I'm setting everything up for my success. And setting up the antecedents is the biggest piece of training, absolutely the biggest piece. So I've put everything in a situation that I can control. It's hot, which means I'm miserable, but he's also flat. He's been working all night, so he looks like a lump. So he's not as inclined to be bouncy as if I did this about 7 o'clock at night when I'd be happy. He'd be pretty happy too. These are old girls. I don't want him to run them around very much. That being said, they also probably won't move around very fast, which will help him keep his brain. I've put some hay on the ground. With some dogs, that would be a resource for the dog to run in and steal from the goats. So that's something to consider. With him, he's going to be way more interested in everything else, and he's not going to care about that. But these girls are well-trained puppy trainers, and they know if I throw hay down and I walk in here with a goat or a dog or anything, no matter what happens on around them, I will not let them be harassed. So they're going to ignore me and eat. And the other thing is, this is a very small area, so he can't get farther than my arm pretty much in here. And an animal that is chased, if he runs straight, he's going to run and he's go faster and faster and faster, and the dog is right behind, and the person is thinking, why on earth did I let this happen? And any word that you say to the dog, help, stop, adds gas to the fire. You're already done. The behavior already happened. You learned something about setting things up differently. And I say this because I've been there. So we're in this little area where if everything goes to pieces and everybody races all around me, they're going to go around, which keeps them slow. I can step in front of Yukon and I can get his brain back. Now, in my life, dogs are never, ever wrong. They're not wrong. No matter what they do. So if he does something that I don't want to see more of, I know it's not good for the goats, it's not good for him and the job description, what I don't want him to do, I will interrupt his train of thought in some way, and it won't be no, and it won't be yelling at him, and it won't be saying his name either, probably. I'll interrupt him. He'll glance up at me. He's gotten lots of reinforcement for looking in my eyes. I reinforce heavily for making eye contact with me, because I feel like if I have a dog's eyes, I have his brain. So I will interrupt him, he'll glance up at me, I will immediately reinforce him, and I will immediately become more fun than chasing them. So he'll stop, he'll take a little bit of a breath, I'll walk with him a little bit and say, can you handle it now? And we may do that with a young pup, I may do that 20 times in an area like this, and it's just interrupt, get eyes, cuddle, 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 and keep walking. So he's never told that what he's doing is wrong, he's just given a different good option while he breathes a little bit. And typically with livestock introductions like this, the first 5 minutes or so, he may not have much of what I call a learning brain, which is a quiet, calm mind that's curious and receptive to something that I want to add into it. He may come in here like, finally she opens the gate. And so for 5 minutes, I may not have a lot of the good thinking dog that he is in most other circumstances. I'm pretty prepared for that. And honestly, it's one of the most fun things about working with adolescent dogs is it's always dynamic. So we're going to give him the opportunity to come in here. I have tons of planning here. I have a slip lead in my back pocket. If I redirect him a few times, and this is just more stimulus than he can handle, I'll put a slip lead on him. I may just stand here for a minute. I only use a slip lead or a collar on a dog that is very, very well trained on a leash. If he's going to take up the slack, it's not the thing I would use. But for him, for my dogs, if I have a short leash on them, it's a request for them to stay near me. So it's a physical cue to him that I'd like him to stay attached to me. It's also a disaster plan because I can haul him out of here if I need to. But that's not how I plan on using this. Yukon, what's your vote? Would you like to come and see these goaties? This is Pearl. So he's never met him, and he hasn't been with Livestock for a couple of weeks just because it was easier for me. Would you like to come in? So my dogs don't get to come through a gate unless they're invited, so I'm making it really clear to him that he's invited. Would you like to come in? Come on in. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. I know. Don't kill me. Use your brain. So that's a puppy behavior that says to me that he's right on track and he doesn't have much of a brain right this minute. Hey, could we just be nice to them? Because I like them. That's Mutter. That's right. I know. This is so exciting. Sorry, Pearl. Just breathe. Just breathe. There. Yeah. Can you walk around a little bit? Good. I know. Okay. So a dog that has had a lot of training, that puts his mouth on me and his feet all over me and just sort of is coming out of his skin, tells me that he's a little stressed. He's either a little insecure or overexcited. When dogs are like that, they go back to puppy behaviors, which is the base of everything, which is talking with their feet and their mouths. If I'm standing right in front of me, he's most likely to put his feet on me. So I've got my hands on him so he can just breathe for a minute. So we're standing here next to these goaties, and we're just kind of taking a minute. Okay? Are you breathing? His respiratory rate's way up. He hasn't had his partner with him for a couple of days. He hasn't had my time a whole lot. He's just kind of worked up. Can we walk around in here and breathe? Could you just move like a real dog? Hey, hey. That's it. Cute. There you go, good boy. So I'm reinforcing him for doing something other than jumping on me. Looking at his environment. Do you see that there's strangers over there? Do you care? Do you see these people in chairs? So this isn't typical Yukon behavior at all, and that tells me that he's having a hard time with this. Not the goats, just whatever stimulus, probably being alone. Don't hurt me, please. Thank you. Yukon, you have claws. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Think you could just be around him for a minute? Breathe. Nice. Good. Put feet down. So if I stay at his shoulder anywhere but directly in front of him, it's easier for him to keep his feet down. And if I don't do that and he puts his feet on me, it means that I missed my timing. Won't you walk with me? Swatting his front feet around, very busy, couldn't care less about the goats, worked up with me. So this is a dog who knows a lot about being with livestock, and today is not the day to go out with these goaty girls. Maybe they'd walk off out the gate and he'd go do something else, maybe he wouldn't, but I want a good read and a connection in here, and I'm not seeing it. He's worked up and excited, and I could guess all day long at why. But what I know is this fast dog should not be with those old goats in a big pasture. So this is the end of our very successful goat introduction. It's successful because the goats didn't get hurt. He had a good time. It's relationship building for us, and it's one step in a big long process. How about it? Yeah? You come with me? You could just keep your feet on the ground. It would be all right with me. Yeah. Good. Good. The end.